Hello and welcome to another How to Code Well web chat. My name is Peter Fisher. I know it's not a Friday, it's a Thursday, but I've got a couple of updates that I want to talk about. Last night I was in PHP South West in Bristol, and there was two very good talks that I saw. One by Oliver Price, which was the evolution of Agile, some very interesting concepts and stuff. I'll talk about that in a minute. The next one was Rob Allen talking about deployment into or within a traditional IT environment. So the first talk was background information to Agile and the waterfall process and so forth. A bit funny at times, especially when talking about, people asking for things just in time. Can you just do this? That kind of stuff. That really kind of rang true with some of my previous experiences with secret squirrel missions that managers would ask you to do, which were under the radar, that weren't actually going to be recorded or what have you. Broke all sort of rules. And the waterfall thing, the big bang hits where you just throw stuff over the fence and just hope that it works. And 9 times out of 10, it's not what the customer has actually asked for. Because it has to go through a series of processes that sometimes get misinterpreted and so forth. And the talk then progressed into the evolution, if you will, up to or from waterfall to Agile. So talking about things like Prince 2 and other bits like that. And then where Agile might be going. So AI and stuff like that. So very interesting concepts around that. The second talk by Rob Allen was quite different because it was talking about how to deploy projects to, I guess one could say, a legacy system, so a traditional IT environment. This isn't anything to do with like cloud provisioning or anything like that. So this is how to create very basic scripts, simple scripts, and then maybe some make files, perhaps some Capistrano stuff to deploy to those kind of infrastructures. Now, the challenges that he was talking about were all about how do you get the code from point A to point B when you've got the traditional barriers in the way, one of which is a traditional IT department. Political barriers. Political barriers was something that Rob Allen was talking about quite a lot. It's that the actual people that might be restricting access to certain things. They might want to be in charge of when things actually get deployed, that kind of thing. So the traditional IT environments might be less relaxed with their use of automated deployments, right? So you can't just run Capistrano on your local laptop and then suddenly it gets deployed, because you're now working with people who make that decision, right? So you have to physically give them the code, and that is quite challenging, obviously, if they're not on the internet. So there's all of that kind of stuff to think about, and that throws up lots of challenges. It was a very interesting talk because it was an eye-opener to some of the systems that are actually to this day still in place. So very old kit. And I obviously came back with a sticker, which I will be putting on my laptop. It's kind of like a traditional thing now. Every time I go to a conference and they have a sticker, then I take that with me and I stick that onto my laptop, kind of like, my passport stamps, if you will, where I've been and so forth. I've got a couple of conferences coming up, although I don't know, can you class conferences? These are meetups, but whatever, they're interesting talks. I've got a couple coming up, some to do with the British Computer Society. One is in Bristol. In fact, I've got my list here. So I'm hoping to go to all of these. I can't say that I will, but I'm hoping to. So there's a talk, Serverless Computing and GraphQL, 2 talks. That is by Bristech in September. The Changing Face of the Computing Infrastructure. That's a British Computer Society talk. Again, that's in September. And then one in November, another British Computer Society talk, which is the evolution of military gaming with VR, virtual reality. Obviously, I don't do any VR stuff. I personally think you've got to be able to listen to other parts of the IT industry just to keep your pulse, keep the pulse going. So I'm interested with that. I do have a VR headset here that I've played around with, one of these sort of Google Cardboard type things. But I do feel that is a progression in the IT industry that will open up lots of market. Another thing is that I do plan myself to actually talk. I've challenged myself to actually do at least one talk by the end of the year. And I was talking to the organisers of PHP Southwest about that. So it's petrifying. Just gonna put that out there. I am scared, but I just think it's like maybe I don't want to say it's a natural progression, but I want to say that it's a progression of sorts. I mean, I've got a YouTube channel, obviously. I'm talking to you guys with over 1,100 subscribers now. So I have an audience, be it a small audience in a big pond of YouTube, but an audience nonetheless. The thing is that I'm talking now to a single lens, and the feedback loop that I get from you guys is great, but the feedback loop you would get from actually speaking to people, it will be quite shorter, because you can put your stuff up on Lanyard, you can get instant feedback, if you will. There's no editing involved. there's nothing like that, so it is completely raw. So I do feel like, well, I would hope that it would also improve my web chats and my tutorials and the way I present myself on camera. Because I cringe every time I look back at the stuff that I do, that I've done. I really do. I think that the content that I've done personally is just awful. It's embarrassing, but I still do it because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. Okay, it's a bit weird, but anyway, I just hope that it will improve, and I do think it will improve. I think that from an outsider's point of view, it's a natural progression from speaking to a camera, which then goes out to 1,100 plus people, and then that grows to speaking to an audience. Now, I don't know what I'm going to be speaking about. I've got a couple of ideas. I don't want to say them yet, but what I'm going to plan to do is use this channel as a platform, right? So just to experiment, because I obviously appreciate you guys' feedback. So if you do think that what I talk about is rubbish, pointless, whatever, then that's great feedback to use. I do know that comedians, when they do a big gig, before that they do a lot of little gigs, sort of a lot of stand-up gigs where they just trial out jokes, just to get the feedback, just to understand how the audience is interpreting and reacting to what the comedian is saying. So I want to use this YouTube channel as that kind of platform. Now, obviously, I'm still going to be doing this YouTube channel, obviously, and I do hope that this channel progresses and moves and so forth. But I would hope that the talks that I might give to a live audience would also change the way maybe my presence is on camera, because sometimes I do think that the stuff that I've done before is very stale, a little bit dry, needs to be a little bit more animated and perhaps funnier. I don't know. So yeah, that's that. Another couple of announcements is that with the channel itself, I want to look at restructuring it a little bit. I'm itching. I am itching to talk about some more advanced topics. I've made a very conscious effort to focus on the beginner sort of level, people who are wanting to jump onto web development. So the talks that I've done previously are interview talks. They're talks on career advice. They're talks on how to get into the industry, talks on misconceptions about web development and so forth. But I want to talk about things that are sort of very techy, very is caching a good thing? What kind of future things are going to happen in the tech industry? And I also want to do a lot more collaborations with people as well. So if you are watching this and you've got your own channel and you want to reach out, then please do so. I also want to talk a little bit more about the actual hardware that I use, because I do feel that a lot of people are like, what do I actually need to invest in order to build a website or build a development machine, that kind of thing. So not only the hardware, but also the software too. Also with the tutorials, I want to change it up slightly because, like I said, it's very beginner at the moment, and I want to dive into design patterns with PHP, and I want to also do other languages. I really just want to I want to do Python, I want to do C, I want to do all Java, stuff like that. I want to do Ruby, stuff like, but I've got to be very careful because I can't just go, one day I'm doing HTML, next day I'm doing like really complicated C, that kind of stuff. So I need some sort of consistency going. I need to think about how I do this. It will eventually happen, but it will probably come in sort of in a trickled way. The problem that I personally have is time. Because I don't have a lot of time to do this. I've got a lot of time to perhaps think about this. This is probably what's coming in on my, when I'm asleep, when I wake up, I suddenly have an idea. Why don't we do this with the channel? But it's actually putting that into reality, which is the real issue, because it takes time. Editing takes time and so forth. The live streams that I've done, they've been really, really good. So I might use some of that as a way of adding more content. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I want to provide more content to the platform, and I'm trying to think of a way to do that whilst keeping the level of quality that we've got, but also try and improve that, obviously. So I've done a lot of investment in cameras and microphones and lighting. I still haven't got that sussed, but I want to now sort of focus my mind on the actual content and what it is that I'm actually delivering. I also want to talk about frameworks. I'm a Symfony developer. I use Docker, I use Elasticsearch, I use MySQL, I use SQS, I use AWS, I use all of that kind of stuff on a daily basis. I'm not talking about any of that here, and I want to, and I really want to. So I'm like I said, I'm itching for a way of trying to provide that, but it'll come. Anyway, that is basically what I wanted to say. I will do what I traditionally do and now put the sticker on the laptop. Okay, so we've got the laptop. This is PHP Serbia. This is PHP South Coast. This is PHP South West that I'm going to stick on now. So let's peel this off. I need some hold music. There we go. Right next to the other conferences. So PHP Serbia, PHP South Coast, PHP South West. We've also got the YouTube sticker here. If anybody is interested in one of these, then please leave a comment in the comment section below, and we will mail one out to you if you're interested. But that is it from me. I just wanted to add the PHP Southwest sticker to the laptop and talk to you about the new things that I'm considering, the updates and stuff, as well as the talks that I'm going to in the future. But as always, if you've got any comments or questions, put them in the comment section below and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Tomorrow we're going to be publishing our usual web chat, but bye for now. Thanks everyone. Cheers.